Hello. Hi there. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to today's live Q&A. Nice to see you here. Okie dokie. Okay, hi. Do you want to say where you are in the world and if you're taking your exam soon, and if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer today, please write your questions here in the comments and I will try and answer them today. So I'm just checking the other places. Okay, so some of you got your exam coming up soon. Okay, so any questions you have, please write in the comments and I will try and answer those questions today. So that's anything OET related. Please do write your comments in the chat. And if you're preparing, please do check out our website, specialistlanguagecourses.com. We've got lots of preparation courses for you, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We've got a new season coming up. So that should be great. All right. Okay, I'm just checking. Just checking. I am on Facebook. Okay, so we've got some questions coming through here about reading. So any questions you have about OET, please pop them in the OET website. Sorry, please put them in the chat and I will answer your questions. So any questions? Right, I'm sorry, I'm just checking that we're live on Facebook as well. Not sure that's working. Okay, so we've got some things coming through now. All right, so okay, question from Vela Mathy. Hi. In speaking, is sequence really important? I'm not quite sure what you mean by sequence. If you mean like the order that you do the tasks in. My advice for speaking is to follow the order of the tasks just because it's easier and they follow a logical progression. So when you're using the 3 minutes preparation time, plan to follow the order of the tasks. However, you need to be prepared to adapt. So, for example, if the patient or carer says something that you were planning to say later, respond to them. Don't ignore them and carry on with the task. So you need to say, okay, I understand you're worried about the procedure. I'm going to explain that a little bit later, but first of all, I'd just like to ask you some questions first. So yes, the sequence is important. You need to make sure that it's logical. So as a general rule, follow the order of the task, but be ready to adapt. Or you can respond to the patient and say, I'll talk about that in a moment. First, I'd like to do this. Okay, so that's quite important. I've got some more questions here. If I write all capital letters for reading, is it okay if I write units like 2 mg, 3g, 5 ml, 5 kg? If it's written like that, so all capitals for reading is fine. Yes, spelling is important. And to write mg instead of milligram, for example, or ml instead of milliliter, that's fine, as long as it's written like that in the actual reading text as well. My recommendation would always be to copy it exactly as it's written, and usually they are written as abbreviations rather than, milliliters, milligrams. But capital letters is absolutely fine. You just should be consistent if you're doing it for the writing. Okay, so hope that answers your question, Alshi. Some more questions coming through. Okay, great. Okay, so a few of you got your exam. I'm not sure about speaking part 2. What is it about specifically? So, Balai, I'm not sure what you mean about part 2. So a quick overview of the speaking test. So you do a warm-up section at the beginning, which lasts about 4 minutes. They're just going to introduce themselves, ask you some questions about your professional career, like why did you become a nurse? Have you done any recent training? Or what do you enjoy about your job? This is not assessed. It's just to relax you, get used to the interlocutor's voice, and just sort of prepare you before you do the role plays. You then are given a role card and you have 3 minutes to prepare. You can make notes and ask questions. You then complete a 5-minute role play. They then take the card off you and give you a second card, and the process is repeated again. 3 minutes preparation time, 5 minutes role play. So there's no part 2, but there are 2 role plays. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. All right. So let's have another little look. So what else have we got here? Questions. All right. Can we write recuperating in the writing introduction? So without seeing the actual writing task, I can't answer that question specifically. I think recovering might be better. I'm writing regarding your patient who's currently recovering in my care home, and is about to be transferred back into the community. So yes, if that is the context, but without seeing the case notes, it's really hard to say. What you should use in the first, just to recap what goes in the first paragraph, it's the purpose paragraph. You need to make things clear but not add too much detail. So always include the patient's name, the context. How are they connected to you? How do you know them? Have they been on your ward being treated? Are they a patient at your GP practice? Have you been visiting them at home? Have they been coming to your clinic? And the relevant medical issue if necessary. Yeah, so they were admitted on this date with this illness, or they've been visiting your practice to monitor for blood sugar level monitoring for the past 6 years or something like that. Then you need to explain the current situation and the purpose of the letter. So one sentence, do the name and the context. Second sentence, what's happening, what needs to happen. So, they're ready to be discharged, require ongoing care, or they are being transferred to a rehabilitation ward and require your further monitoring or physiotherapy, or are they being discharged to a nursing home for respite care or until they recover and need follow-up care? Do they need home visits? Yeah, so mention what's the general purpose, but don't go into detail. You will expand on that later. Okay, so yes, you can write all 4 sections in capital letters. In the writing, do be consistent. Okay. All right. So we got a question. If I missed a, an, or the in listening part A. Is that wrong? I think it depends. If it's necessary to express that there's only one, yeah. So for example, maybe if it was like, what was the accident? Was it a fall? Or I had a fall at home. You could just write fall or a fall, and that would be fine. However, if you're writing down, for example, the patient has visited with a lump on her right breast, I think you need to be specific. A meaning one. Okay. Um, okay. All right. So a lot of you asking questions about reading. It's really difficult. I do appreciate that, and particularly reading part C. But I will go through just a few of them. Uh, 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 so tips for reading part C specifically. Okay, so the reading part C is difficult because it's got very complex language. The questions are difficult and the options can be difficult to distinguish between them. And there's 4 options to choose from as well. So that adds to the difficulty. There's complex language, as I said, but also the time restrictions are really tricky. So you've got 45 minutes for part B and C. So we'd recommend about 10 minutes for part B. Get that down quickly. And then you've got the rest of the time for part C. First things first, make sure you number the paragraphs so that you can find the right one quickly. Look at the title, activate your knowledge of the topic. And then my recommendation, you've got 2 strategies. You could read the question and the options, then read the paragraph, and then go back and choose the correct option. Or you can leave the options until after you've read the paragraph. Now, the benefit of doing this is that you're not distracted by the options while you're reading, and you're going to have to go back and read them again anyway. So perhaps this will save time. So try both strategies and see what works best for you. So you're definitely going to read the question. Make sure you understand the question. Are there any key words in the question? So is there like a word, like an adjective or something like that? What did he find surprising about the study? Or something like that, yeah? Or what was unusual about the symptoms of patient X, yeah? So focus on the key words. Make sure you understand what the question's asking. Read through the paragraph quickly and identify the main ideas that are presented in the text, okay? So you need to do this quickly. Identify the main ideas, thinking about the question, and then go through the options. Eliminate any obvious wrong answers. And then if you're left with perhaps 2 options, go back to the question. Is this what the text is saying, or is this what the text is saying? So really go back to the question to help you decide between the 2. What are the differences between the 2 options? Sometimes there's a very slight difference. So make sure you know what that is. And I think make sure you've read the whole paragraph, because it could be a main idea paragraph. What is suggested in the 4th paragraph about blah, blah. So really, really important that you do that. So reading a lot will really help you with managing these kinds of difficult texts. So, and every time you do any practice papers, always make sure you go through, where did you go wrong? Why did you get the answer wrong? Did you not understand the text? Did you misunderstand the question? Were you distracted by something? Really make sure you're understanding where you're going wrong. Same strategy for reading B. Reading A, what's really important is time. You don't have time to waste. So don't read the text for reading A. You don't have time. You just skim over them. What kind of information is in each text? Okay, so here is all information about dosages. Here's management of this particular whatever. Oh, here we've got, a definition of the different types, for example. So have a brief look. Do the matching task first. It's the easiest task. You don't want to run out of time if you save it till the end. A lot of student forums, people are saying, oh, do the matching task last. I would say don't do that. Matching task, and OET recommend to do the matching task first because it helps prepare you for the rest of the paper. It gives you more of an overview of the kind of information in each of the texts. So do the matching task without looking, if possible. Check only if necessary, and then you complete the gap fill or the short answer question task. Now, the key for reading A is you're not reading for detailed understanding, you're reading to find information fast. So you're scanning. So look at each question. What information are you looking for? What's the answer going to be? Is it a medication, a number? Is it a part of the body? Something like that. Yeah. So what are you looking for? What words and phrases are going to help you find the answer from keywords in the questions? And which text are you going to look in? So those are the three things you need to look at. What am I looking for? Words and phrases to help me. Which text? Go, scan for the answer, write it down and move on. You've got to go super, super fast. Otherwise, you're not going to get through all the questions. If you can't find the answer straight away, move on. You don't have time to waste. You can always come back if you have any extra time. So reading really is difficult. It's what a lot of students struggle with. Particularly if you're not used to reading even in your own language. It's a difficult skill, and reading C, you're going to be very tired by the time you get to that part. So do read a lot in your self-study time. So not just exam practice papers, do read a lot, anything with a healthcare context. Conversation.com is quite good. Build up your bank of vocabulary and phrases that indicate attitude and opinion. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at some more questions. All right. Would a candidate be penalised for not finish the task on the role play card in the speaking module? Hi, Cedia. Good question. No, you won't get penalized for not finishing the role play card. So sometimes there's 5, 6 tasks, and within each one there's a couple of things that you have to do. So as long as you're using effective communication skills, you're not going to be penalized. You might be penalized if you're not using effective communication skills and you're spending ages on maybe like just task 1 and not moving the conversation forwards. That's what you'd get penalized for. You'd get penalized for not pausing and encouraging the patient to respond. Yeah. So don't worry if you don't finish the tasks. It's not realistic to finish a lot of the tasks within 5 minutes. So I think don't panic about that. If you get, through 3 or 4 tasks, I think that's absolutely fine. Don't worry. Aaron, I don't know about international nurse pause requirement for international nurse. I'm not sure what you mean by that question. Pause recruitment, maybe. I don't know. That's something that we're not involved with. That's the NMC. Good question from Bulai. What do I need to take with me to the test center on examination day? Now, this is in the OET, on the OET website. I'll put the link there now. It's most important thing to take with you, because they should have spare pencils and things like that. They might not, but they should. The most important thing to take with you on test day is your identification, okay? Your ID. And make sure it's the ID you used to book your exam with, okay? So if you used your passport, take your passport. If you use your ID card, take your ID card, okay? So really, really, really important. You can't take things into the room with you. You're not allowed to take watches in or mobile phones or anything like that. Normally they provide you with a locker where you can put all your things in, okay? So you can't take things like that, but do make sure it's the same identification. Really, really important, okay? All right. Any other questions? If you have a question, write your question in the chat. Any questions about OET? Okay, I got a question from Jiri about, can you tell us the best format of the date in writing? It doesn't really matter what format you use as long as the date's correct. I would recommend making sure that you're using, so for example, in the UK, we normally put the day first and then the month. So we do 12th September, yes? Whereas in the USA, they'll do September 12th. So I think you can do whatever, yeah? Either is fine. I would recommend doing it like that rather than doing like the numerical, doing 12/09/23. It would be much better to write the actual date month so that there's no confusion. Okay. Question from Alshi. What part of the rib? What is correct? 9th rib or just 9th? Okay. So are you talking about reading A, Alshi? So as in like which rib was injured? If it's reading A, if rib is already written in the question, then you can just put the 9th. If it's listening, 9th rib or just 9th would be fine. But if it's reading A, if rib is already represented in the question, then you don't need to write it in the answer. Okay. So Selena, 02 December 2023, is this correct? Yes, that's absolutely fine. That's a good way of doing it. You don't need to do the 02, you can just do 2 December. That's absolutely fine. Okay. Velamarthi's asking, in writing part, is it okay to write the admission date in the purpose part? Yeah, I think it's a good idea to write it so that the timeline is clear. So maybe if it's a discharge letter or referral letter, you might, I'm writing regarding Mr. Blah Blah, who was admitted to the hospital on the 4th of September with bleeding peptic ulcer. You could do something like that. Okay. Emma, the question about clubbing. Is it possible to do clubbing between first and third trial for OET in less than 1 year for nursing? I believe so. You'd have to check the NMC website. As far as I'm aware, you can choose any 2 tests as long as they're within a year, and you can club those results. But I would check out the NMC website. So the 2 sittings must be within a year. That's definitely what's needed. Okay, and nothing below a C+ as well. Very important. Okay. Question about reading part C is like, hell, can you give me some tips to understand the text? Yeah, I mean, it's really, really difficult. I do appreciate it. You've got to practice understanding paragraphs. What are they saying? Are there any words in the paragraph that you don't need to understand? You can just cross those out. Sometimes they say, Dr. Smith from the University of Michigan, cross out University of Michigan. Who cares? You don't need to know where they're working. What you need to know is what they thought or what they found in their study. Make sure you understand the language. So go through old past papers, go through academic texts, make a note of language for attitude and opinion. Practice summarizing. So read through a paragraph, summarize the main ideas in 1 to 3 sentences. This will really help you. So you want to break it down. Read a sentence. What's it saying? Read the next sentence. What's it saying? Yeah, in your head, talk to yourself so that you're understanding what the text says. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, which part of the body? Gator area or gator? It depends. I'd have to look at the full question, and I'd have to look at the text to understand. But I believe gator area would be fine, because it's not. If it asks in which area, then just write gator. But if it asks in which part is not a direct synonym of area. Okay. Okay, so we're nearly out of time. So if you do have any final questions, please do pop your questions into the comments. And if you are preparing and not taking the exam this weekend, please do check out our website. We've got lots of courses. We've got writing correction services. We've got practice tests, which include a speaking role play with me or one of our colleagues as well. So do please check us out, and make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have loads of videos on there which will help us, so do follow us there. Follow us on Facebook. We're always posting links to free events such as this. All right, final question then. We've got a question here. Is it okay to mark some areas in the reading paragraphs? I tend to mark some words which may lead me to answers. Yeah, absolutely. You can underline things. Absolutely. Underline, particularly if it's a specific detailed question that does require you to look at one particular question. So remember, sometimes you need to understand the whole paragraph. Sometimes you're just looking for, a little bit. So yeah, I think absolutely underline important things that could help lead you to the answer. Very, very important. Okay. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up for today. Anyone who's taking their exam this weekend, please do. The link should be in the chat. Balamathi, or you can just go to our website and have a look there. We've got Jo's on there. She'll be able to chat with you as well. Okay. Anyone taking your exam on Saturday, good luck. Stay calm, take a deep breath, remember the strategies. Okay, go for reading A. All right. And the rest of you will be back here the last Wednesday of each month, same place, same time. Hope to see some of you then. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.